Hi everybody, it's Diane here, the woman that keeps lamenting she doesn't want to make journals because they don't sell and she gets stuck with them. Well, I had a hankering to make, I consider these blank books, but obviously you can do whatever you want with them once they're completed. I got this system from Helen at Moss Cottage, who I believe got it from Melanie Sullivan. This is the first one I made on a video showing this binding. Um, I'll link this video. And it has a little more step-by-step stuff, and then the links to those two women I just mentioned. So they're hardback, cardboard covers covered with scrapbook paper. And then their idea was real scrappy pages inside, which is very fun. These I made a little more like blank books. As you can see, they're different sizes. This might be the largest one I've done. So the first step, at least the way I do it, I tweak theirs just a bit, but is to cut the pages. And you do need a sewing machine for this system. What I do is 5 signatures of 5 pages, which is less than what they did. I just feel that's gonna really, I mean, even if you wanted to use this for a junk journal, it's really gonna splay, but for writing, I think that's pretty good. Okay, so 5 pages, 5 signatures. Um, I'll give you a little hint. If you make all different size pages, watch that you don't have a lot of short ones though, because then when you have your signature block, the top is like a lot narrower than the middle bulk, and it does affect how your book looks when it's done. So watch that. Don't make them too staggered. Okay. All right, so I have a lot of pages to cut, a lot of pages to sew. And then you get your 5 pages and sew them together down the middle. Melanie, I believe, recommended don't fold them first. I have better luck folding them first. So I picked some papers for covers. I'm going to make several books. And Diane, you always do that. You like make a million and it takes forever. And I know, but I see papers and go, that'd be cool, that'd be cool. Okay, so I'm going to cut papers, sew them, and then we'll come back and discuss the next step. Hang on. Okay, we have pages cut, sewn together, and placed together. And use any kind of clips you can find to keep them together. And if you do more than one, mark which one it is. Okay, so what it is, you have your pages, however many you choose to do. 4 wouldn't even be bad either, to go less, I think. Sew it down the middle. Knot your threads. Do not cut them off. Leave the tails. Okay, on your very first page and your very last page of the entire block, make sure it's a full page. It's not short or a fold over or anything, because those get glued to the inside cover. And keep that in mind too, if it's some paper you absolutely love. This very first page and this very last page will get covered up and you don't see them. Okay, you use a basting stitch. If you forget, it is doable, but it just makes the stitches longer, so it's easier to whip them together. Okay, and don't forget to change it back from the basting stitch on your machine. All right, you get your block the way you want it. Make sure, double check, they're all the right way up and down. And then it is a little easier to clip it to start with. Then take a heavier buttonhole or upholstery thread and you whip in and out and in and out, back and forth with all these threads. Okay, and that binds that together. Okay. Melanie Sullivan explains this stuff really clearly. Like I said, I'll try to link that stuff. All right, I have to whip these all together. And then you take a little bit of fabric, glue it around, leave a little room. You don't have to go right to the edge. About no, maybe not quite half an inch, half an inch. It doesn't really matter, but in this area, an inch. Glue it all the way around. If you want your tail threads to show, leave them out. If you don't, trim them a little bit and then glue it under the fabric. Okay, we'll pick it up with that. Hang on. Okay, I thought I'd pop on and show these all important next steps. So I have my signatures together, and I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but you can see there's thread. So that's, as I mentioned, an upholstery thread, and you pick up all the stitches on the edge that you sewed of each individual signature. Okay? You knot it off, you know, when you start. You don't have to pick up every single stitch. If you skip a couple rows or something, it doesn't matter. Okay. So then what I do, I trim these threads so they're a little more manageable. Usually mine are longer. Okay. And since I want to tuck them in, leaving them out, I'll do a little longer than that. That is a cool look. I did that on that Halloween one. I don't know if you noticed that. That's neat. You can definitely do that. But I'm tucking these all in. So you get any kind of lightweight fabric. This is so lightweight, I dropped it. Bordering on almost too lightweight, but it's just an old, I think it's an old sheet I was ripping up. Okay, so you want it to go all the way around, and then, as I said, half inch, inch. I mean, you want to go over this far, you could do it. I wouldn't go narrower than that, or shorter, but anyway. And then cut it just a little shorter, just so it's easier to manage. If you want to be perfect and measure it and get right up there, go ahead. And this is the only time Diana's going to say, it doesn't matter if it's straight, if it's a little, you know, frayed, crooked, does not matter. Okay, and this is a perfect place for these dumb plastic, who would use them, paintbrushes to apply glue. I'm using these, you know, old reliable here. Okay. You can, you know, be a person and use the tip and do that if you want to. Then I just kind of lay the threads down in there. If they stick, fine. If they want to pop up, you know, put a little more glue over. And it doesn't matter how sloppy you are, if you're slopping glue on the front or whatever, because all of this stuff is going to be covered up. So as kind of tedious as this can be, at least you don't have to be super neat. Okay, get your fabric on there, give it a push. Okay, and then just glue down the edges, sides. And as I said, you don't have to be super neat. It's all going to be covered. Okay. You make sure it's all down, but crooked or whatever, it does not matter. If you slop glue over, it doesn't matter. Okay. If you do that though, watch how you put it down to dry. You don't want it sticking to something. And as I said, any type of lightweight cotton is fine. I wouldn't use, you know, velvet, burlap, whale corduroy or something. But any kind of cotton, it can be a print, it can be anything, because it won't show, as I keep saying. Okay, so you let this dry. If you are going to do any embellishing, you know, you want to add stuff to your signatures, your pages, I would do that even before this, before you whip them together, or now, before they're in the book. If you want to do any trimming, if you want it to be perfect, do that now. Okay, let that dry. And then you have to do the covers. So what I'm going to do next is have cardboard. I think this is the back of something. This is very stiff. I'm not sure what this is, but you know, any kind of cardboard is going to work. So anyway, you know, cut it to fit, measure your pages, cut the cardboard so it will encase them, so to speak, so that, you know, the pages aren't going to show. And then what I do is I paint the edges. I don't know if you'll be able to tell on here. These are painted brown because they show. When I trim my papers to fit the cover. You can wrap it. I don't have good luck doing that with a heavier scrap of paper. That's going to be pretty difficult anyway, I think. If you're good at that, feel free to wrap. Anyway, so you need a paper to fit the inside and outside, and then I paint my cardboard edges. You don't have to paint these edges because they won't show, but if you're like me and you kind of, when you're putting it together, you forget, go ahead and paint all your edges. Okay, we'll do that. Then I guess I'll come back and give a little demo. All you do is you glue your very first page to the cardboard, glue your paper over it, and then do your cover. But I'll let you see it. There's a couple little tricks I've learned. Okay, another segment, hang on. Okay, I'm attaching the cover, so I thought I'd do one so you could see it quick. It's not too tricky, it's just, it can be a tad fussy. I cut my cover papers, I cut my inside cover papers, I painted the edges like I said, okay. Make sure your text block, well, at this point it doesn't matter unless you have an up and down inside paper, you know, that has a definite direction. If it doesn't have a definite direction, this doesn't matter so much right now. But all we're doing is gluing the very first page to the inside cover. Take your pick of glue. I just do my method I do on collage. I take the Aleene's around the edge and then glue stick in the middle. And as I've said, I've never done a really big journal with this technique. If I did a really big one, I might Mod Podge. But so far, I haven't had any trouble with these coming up or anything. I will say something that grabs really quick may not be great because unless you're really good at this, I end up fussing a little bit and moving a little bit. Okay, you want to make sure the back, you know, the spine is in line with the cover here. If you have a little, you know, it looks like it's off center, it should be. Okay, now you just glue your inside cover paper over that. I would not skimp on the glue at this point. I don't think, I personally would just use a glue stick. I don't trust them that much. If you do, if you have a really good brand or whatever, go ahead, that's fine. This is the same thing. You see, I'm kind of fudging it a little bit up into that seam. I don't think I would use something that grabs really fast or like a tape, but that's up to you. Okay, that's it. So the back is exactly the same. However, you want to make sure it lines up with the front cover, if that makes sense. I'll show you in a minute. Because I know everyone wants to see me glue again. This would be a good place for one of those cheap brushes too, but okay. Yikes. Okay, just kind of get it sort of set. And then since you have the front set, what I do is just kind of do that on your surface there, and it should line up pretty well. Double check to make sure it's not real wonky inside, which it's fine there. Okay, look even. I think so. And at this point, it doesn't look so hot, does it? I do think it's really cool though, with the exception of scrapbook paper, to just take what I would call everyday household scrappy items and make a book. I mean, how cool is that? And if you don't have scrapbook paper, you can make your own painted paper, do a collage, use old calendar image or note card image or something like that. Check to see. See, now to me that's upside down. This is the way it was cut. See the diff? There's a little more of the circle on the bottom. And probably nobody would notice that if you didn't do it right, but do it right. But anyway, you can put different things on the covers. Okay, then what I do is take what I would call a release paper. This is the backing of a contact sheet, wax paper, whatever, if you use something like that, put it in between there, and then I weight it down for several hours. Even overnight is good. I have a scrapbook paper box. I just shoved it under there. And then you just glue the covers to the front. If you're willing to live dangerously, you could do the covers now. But I don't know. I just feel the inside's all wet and that if you're goofing around, it could shift a little on you. So I do it, after the inside is dry. So then you just glue your front paper on, and then fabric or paper, something over the spine. And then I usually put a trim on the edge of the fabric. You don't have to. You could come over more with the fabric if you want. You could even put fabric all over the cover if you want. But okay, that's it. So I will come back and let you see them all finished. Hang on. Okay, folks, finally done. These two are mine. Cute. Okay, these 5 I am going to put in my Etsy shop. So the unicorn swan one here is 2 1/8 by 2 1/2. So to refresh your memory, hardback covers, scrapbook paper covers, fabric over the spine, scrapbook paper on the insides. Pages in each book are kind of similar since I made them at the same time. Mostly lightweight, I would say. There's a few construction papers, some coffee dye, lightweight scrapbook. Somewhere along the line, there's 1 or 2 foldovers. Here's one. That's Easter egg dyed notebook paper. Okay. They each have 96 pages, counting front and back. This reddish one is 3 3/8 by 3 1/8. It's pretty. All the pages are embellished, so to speak, except for dyeing. Okay. This one is 3 1/8 by 3. Sorry, this way. That's the front. You could certainly add to anything you want. Put a label on the front or a word or something, anything. Decoration. I think these are a nice size to throw in a bag, to keep notes in, lists. Okay. This deer and rabbits is 4 1/8 by 4 5/8. Coloring book page there. Wrapping paper. There are some shorter pages. Generally speaking, they're full size. Okay, And lastly, we have yellow. That's pretty. Pretty scrapbook paper. Uh, Most of them have a tracing paper in there, I think. Well, okay, thanks for coming along with this. I did kind of miss making these, to be honest. And like I said, to be able to make a book out of just kind of everyday leftover scrappy papers and cardboard, kind of cool. Okay, everyone, thanks for watching. I hope you have a nice day.